Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thanks so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana. I'm also the owner of Velvet Bride here in Missoula, Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. So today's video is on a topic that I haven't really discussed very much, but I feel it is just as important as all of the actual wedding planning, and that are ways to take care of your mental health during the wedding planning process. Wedding planning can be very overwhelming, especially if you are somebody that is not used to planning events, if putting yourself in the center of attention is not something that you normally do or feel comfortable with. If you're somebody that works a very demanding job, desk job, the last thing you want to do is probably come home and continue to work on a wedding, which wedding planning can, in many ways, almost take on the role of another job. It's almost like having an additional job on top of your normal job to plan a wedding. And while wedding planning can be very fun and should be an enjoyable time, it can get a little bit stressful. So here are some ways to help cope with that and maybe ease that stress a little bit and make sure that you're taking care of your mental health throughout the wedding planning process. Number one, be realistic. This might sound obvious, but it's a good reminder that before you make any sort of decisions about your wedding plans, really consider what is realistic for you and your partner, what you envision for your wedding day, and what's going to be feasible given A, your budget, and also B, the amount of time that you can dedicate to wedding planning. The big one here though is the budget. Be realistic when you are setting your wedding budget and really sit down and categorize how much money you and your partner are both willing to spend on your wedding, or how much money you are receiving from other family members that are willing to contribute, or wherever the money is coming from. Come up with a very reasonable and realistic budget for your wedding and stick to it. Be sure that you're tracking all of your finances during the wedding planning process. This way you know kind of where you're sitting financially, what you have left over, and it's not going to be this big, large bill that's going to hit you at the end of wedding planning, because that is going to do the opposite of handle your stress. Number two, ask for help when you need it. I hear a lot of brides feel overwhelmed during the wedding planning process, but they don't want to burden anybody with their plans. This is their wedding day. They don't feel like they should ask other people for help. They want to be able to do everything on their own. And while that's, good and great, and it's awesome that you are trying to do everything on your own, it's okay to ask for help. That's kind of the whole point of why you ask people to be your maid of honor or be your bridesmaids. They're there to support you and to support your relationship. And if there's things that you need assistance with, just ask. It's okay. People are going to be willing to help you, especially your family members. In fact, more often than not, I hear of mothers of the brides and mothers of the grooms wishing they had more to do. They want tasks when it comes to wedding planning. So if that is your case, if that is your situation and you have family members that want to be involved, just let them. You can delegate small tasks even, and this is going to take a little bit more off your plate so that everything doesn't fall completely on you. This also goes for your partner. I know there's kind of this stigma or like stereotype of the groom not really participating in wedding plans or having nothing to do with it and just kind of showing up. And while that can be the case for a lot of couples, it shouldn't be. It doesn't have to be. So if you want your partner involved and you need their assistance, then tell them, ask them. Tell them how you want them to be involved, make decisions together, delegate the tasks, maybe task them. They're in charge of deciding on the music and the alcohol. And then you're in charge of the photographer and the flowers and that sort of thing. Delegate out some tasks, and that takes the load off of you. Number three, take breaks. Wedding planning can feel like I said before, kind of like an additional job on top of your already full-time job. And so it's important to take breaks. Sometimes couples find it helpful if you have a longer engagement to do the planning in phases. So maybe in the very beginning phase, you're booking your main vendors like your venue, your wedding planner if you're gonna have one, and your caterer or photographer. And then you take a break, maybe give it like a month or so, and then you can go into your next phase where you're determining your overall design, your decor, your rentals, your florist. And then take a break, and then you can go back in and choose your cake, your desserts, and all of those things kind of come together throughout different phases of your wedding. Like I said, this works if you have a longer engagement, if you have a little bit more time to plan, and you can kind of space things out a little bit better so that you're not missing out on vendors getting booked up leading up to your wedding. Or if you're just feeling overwhelmed during a certain stage of the wedding planning, it's okay to just take a break, maybe go read a book, drink a glass of wine, do whatever you need to do to kind of remove yourself from the wedding planning mode and be able to kind of recenter and de-stress a little bit. Number four, on a similar topic, go on dates with your partner where you decide mutually that you're not allowed to talk about anything wedding related. It can really take over your life and become this topic that you're constantly discussing and kind of forget about the fact that you had a relationship outside of this wedding planning. And so it's important to kind of get back to that and recenter and refocus yourselves in your relationship. So plan date nights where you say, okay, this is our date night. We are not talking about anything wedding related, so that you're giving yourself a time to make sure that you are connecting with your partner throughout the whole wedding planning process. Number 5, maintain healthy habits. Don't let your wedding planning replace your you time, or the time that you have for yourself, whether that is the time that you go to the gym and you go to that one class that you love to go to 2 times a week, or taking over when you used to cook dinner, so now you're just eating out all the time, you're getting quick meals, fast food to kind of save on that time. Every once in a while, sure, but don't let it completely replace that time, because it's really important to make sure that you are still setting aside you time, that time for relaxation, that time with your partner, and that wedding planning isn't just replacing this, because that could be one of the biggest contributing factors when it comes to getting stressed and overwhelmed in the wedding planning process. Number 6, if you are somebody that is easily overwhelmed, or you have a very demanding job that requires a long day in a desk or at a computer in an office, and you're not wanting to go home and just get back on your computer, as a lot of wedding planning is based on the computer most likely, whether that's researching, reaching out to vendors, signing contracts, a lot of things happen electronically and on the computer. So if this is something that stresses you out or drives you crazy, set a schedule and set specific days that you work on wedding stuff and specific days that have nothing to do with the wedding. So maybe on Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are specific wedding days where you make lists of all the things that you need to get done, all the contracts you need to review, vendors you need to contact, all that sort of thing. And you're doing those on those specific days, and then the other days are just your normal, everyday, regular routine. Number 7, recognize when you're getting overwhelmed and allow yourself time to step away. I hear about brides getting so overwhelmed with wedding planning, but feeling like they have to just keep powering through and keep going, or else things won't get done, or they're gonna miss out on certain things, or their wedding is coming so close, so they need to be doing all of these things. And it's okay to step away if you're getting overwhelmed. If you feel yourself getting stressed out to the point where you're not even enjoying the process anymore, where you're reaching that point where you just want the wedding to be over, that's your sign to take a break. It's okay. Things aren't going to completely implode. And remember that there is a difference between a wedding and a marriage. Planning your wedding should never put a strain on your everyday life or strain on your relationship especially. So if it's ever getting to that point, recognize that and be okay with taking a break. Number 8, don't get caught up in the Pinterest perfect of it all. No wedding is perfect. No wedding is going to be perfect, and that's just the way that it is. There's always going to be something that goes awry. Maybe it's something you don't even notice. Hopefully it's something you don't even notice, but most likely it's going to happen. And it's going to be a small thing, and it's not going to make or break your wedding, and that's okay. And it's so easy to see so many perfect photos on Instagram and on Pinterest and see all of these beautiful weddings that we are assuming are flawless and perfect, and the photos are perfect, and to be trying to attain that perfection. In the planning process, you have to sort of let go of that perfection. Of course, you want it to be beautiful and you want it to be nice, and you can still achieve that without trying to completely emulate something that you've seen elsewhere, because A, you don't even know what went into planning that wedding, or what went into the decor, or where those things even came from. B, it could be photoshopped. Doesn't even necessarily mean it's real just because you're seeing a picture of it. And number 3, of course, you're going to be seeing the most gorgeous parts of weddings, the most picture perfect parts of weddings. You're not going to see the things that go wrong. You're not going to see how long it took to create whatever that is that you're seeing an image of, or how backbreaking it was, or how stressful it was. It's just you're going to see the finished product, and you're going to see this beautiful perfection of finished product. So if you are someone that tends to be a perfectionist, this is something that I highly recommend that you keep yourself in check about. And of course you can strive for something close to perfection, but be realistic with yourself and allow a little bit of flexibility. And finally, number 9, you all saw this coming, but hire a wedding planner. And whether that is a full service wedding planner that's going to be with you from start to finish, or just a day of coordinator, this is someone that's going to help you relieve that stress. They're there as a resource for you. They're going to help make recommendations on vendors that are going to make your life easier. They're going to create your day of timeline. They're going to be there on the day of to make sure that you can just relax and enjoy your day, so that so much of that pressure does not fall on you. Planning a wedding, while it can be very stressful, should be an enjoyable time, and it should not be this extra burden in your life. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we'll see you next week.